it comes to chloroquine?
What we're finding clinically with our patients is that it really only works in conjunction with zinc. So the hydroxychloroquine opens the zinc channel, zinc goes into the cell, it then blocks the replication of the cellular machinery. So it has to be used in conjunction with zinc. We are seeing some clinical responses in that regard. There are people that take it regularly for other disease processes. We have to be cautious and mindful that we don't prescribe it for patients who have COVID that are well. It really should be reserved for people that are really sick, in the hospital, or at home very sick, that need that medication. Otherwise, we're going to blow through our supply for the patients that take it regularly for other disease processes.
But what you're saying is you're prescribing it and it is working for COVID-19 patients.
Every patient I've prescribed it to has been very, very ill, and within 8 to 12 hours, they were basically symptom-free. And so clinically, I am seeing a resolution. That mirrors what we saw in the French study and some of the other studies worldwide.
I mean, amazing. Is it shocking to you when you have doctors reporting? We've been reporting on this for almost 2 months now, that chloroquine is showing has hopeful signs, and now we're getting more details that it's the addition of zinc, that chloroquine appears to be opening up the cells so that zinc can get in there. Donald Trump repeated those points. Why is the media then trying to make a deal out of Donald Trump being invested in chloroquine? My understanding is it's a $6 pill, and we're talking about something that, as Dr. Neuenschwander maybe you use over 5 or 6 days, but it's a question, and if the president is invested in this, then we should want to know. I want to bring in a great filmmaker, an incredible journalist, Mike Cernovich, who made the movie Hoax, that was about exactly these types of issues, an embellishment of the truth. In some ways, some call it fake news. Mike, you've been watching this whole thing over these last several weeks. What's going on in your mind as we're watching these headlines?
Well, we're learning more than ever that you have to look behind the headlines. You can't just trust what they say. For example, the New York Times reported that Donald Trump had a financial interest in a pharmaceutical company that made chloroquine. And I go, well, that's interesting. I wonder what that is. And then I went through and pulled up Trump's financial disclosure and then the prospectus for the mutual fund that he owned. And you realized it's maybe $100, maybe $200, some kind of trivial amount. And so what's frustrating to me
Take it back. Are you telling me there are headlines about the fact that there may be a vested interest of our president, that he is only talking about chloroquine because he has an investment in it? And run those numbers by me again and how you found them?
Sure. So the New York Times wrote this big article that trended on Twitter, top story, blockbuster, the Orange Man, Orange Man is bad, we got him again. And in it, they said that he owned a stake in Sanofi, which is a French pharmaceutical company. And I thought, wow, okay, that's interesting. And people are going nuts. I can't believe it. People that I respect, by the way. This
was sent to me too.
Yeah, people that I'm like, wow, this is a credible person. Lawyers that if my life were on the line, I would hire. And I'm like, okay, I wonder what's really going on. I'll look into it. And then I go, well, let me find Trump's financial disclosures. And it turns out the disclosures will give a range of what he owns. And it said that he owned between $1,000 and $15,000 in a Dodge & Cox mutual fund. I'm like, okay, so at most he owns $1,000 to $15,000.
Oh, here we go. Yep.
And then I went to the Dodge & Cox prospectus for that fund, and 2.9% of that fund is invested in the stock of the company that makes chloroquine, which, by the way, is generic. So there's a whole rabbit hole you go down. But if you just look at the very numbers, you're talking about Trump indirectly, at most, owns a couple $100 in the maker of chloroquine via a mutual fund that nobody knows what's in your mutual fund anyway.
Right, nobody does.
Right, and then when you go further down the rabbit hole, you realize it's generic drug anyway. The pharmaceutical maker has been giving it away. They've been giving everything they can anyhow. So we're talking, $10, $20, $30. But that was the blockbuster story of the night. And as so often happens, every time you look behind a story, you're just, what is this? There's nothing behind it.